Hey, you're early. No worries, let's get started. Hi, I'm Michael, and I understand that you're in the same position I was in not too long ago. You're deciding whether or not to take BUAD 302, right? Okay, I thought so. Well, let me tell you something. When I came to USC, I was a transfer student, and I had no idea how the curriculum worked at this school. In fact, when I came in to schedule my courses, a counselor basically took my laptop and said, here, you're taking these BUAD classes. They're all the same, they're all mandatory. It doesn't matter when you take them, just do it. And I said, okay. So I didn't know BUAD 302 meant business communication until I walked in on the first day, which probably wasn't the best idea, but it worked. So when I saw business communication, I thought, I know how to write an email, I know how to send a fax. What do I really need this class for? But I learned more as it went on. Within a week, I thought, okay, this class is teaching me a lot. Within a month, I knew more than I'd ever known about communication. And now that it's over, I wouldn't trade it for anything at USC. BUAD 302 teaches you more than just how to communicate. It teaches you how to communicate effectively in any situation you come across in business. And not just business, it can be applied to life, your sport that you're playing, a team you're on, a fraternity or sorority, anything that you can think of. This works for that. And it basically breaks it down into three different things: individual communication, internal organizational communication, and external organizational communication. So let's explore those. The first example I have for individual communication would be one of our first assignments in the class, and that was a mock interview. A mock interview in the sense of a job interview. So what we had to do was prepare a cover letter, a resume, and a follow-up email for a job that we wanted. And it was interesting that the teacher allowed us to choose a real job position that we were going to apply to later. So it kept me motivated. I didn't just do it for a grade. I did it because I knew I was going to use these materials to actually try and get a job later in life. So making a cover letter, I didn't know that it wasn't supposed to just be a 20-paragraph, go me kind of document that says, this is why you should hire me. I learned that you had to tailor it to fit exactly the needs and wants of the company. And I also learned that you have to do the same thing to your resume. Along with that, I didn't really know how to make a resume at all. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to use filler words and how you were supposed to lay it out and how much white space you should and shouldn't have. All these things were taught in this first couple of weeks with this first assignment. And lastly, I didn't even know you were supposed to send a follow-up email, but you are. Keep note of that. So when we went into the interview, it wasn't a teacher interviewing us. We were in the ELC, and it was students interviewing students, and it wasn't graded. It was just a practice of how well you can do it. I learned that you're supposed to pay attention to things like body language and the tone in their voice, where they're looking, what they're doing, and answer respectfully, but in a way that says, I want to work here, not, this is what you need to hear. So all these things you need to take into account when you weigh how important 302 is. Another example of individual communication would be, say this. Say a boss goes up to an intern and says, listen, we like the work you're doing here, but we're shutting down your project. No more working on it. Now, both people were probably pretty nervous to have this conversation, and there's a lot of ambiguity that comes with it. So 302 teaches us a lot when you're doing individual communication, and the first thing is to, throughout the whole conversation, maintain civility. Nobody's going to take you seriously, and you'll never get a point across if you let your emotions overtake you. If the intern says, you're canceling my project, and throws a huge fit, that's it. She's got no more respect, and they're never going to listen to her side of the story. Another thing you need to remember is that with any message, you need to encode your message, send your message, and then decode it. Encoding is exactly what point you want to get across. So if I want to say, we're canceling your project, that's me encoding it. Then I send it through whatever channel of communication I want, whether it's verbal, email, phone, text, whatever you can think of, that's a channel of communication. And then you need to make sure it's decoded properly. The intern hears, we're canceling my project. She might decode it as, you're the worst, you're fired, get out. Or she might encode it or decode it as, okay, they cancel my project, what's next? So things you need to take into mind when you're doing an individual communication session is that you need to have active listening. You need to really understand what they're trying to tell you. You need to pay attention to the person. You need to read their body language, read their gestures, and block out any noise. Noise doesn't just mean what you're hearing. It can be what's going on in your head that's distracting you from listening to them. If you hate the person, you're not listening to what they're saying. You're just hearing, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And you're blocking out everything that they're trying to encode to you. Another thing you need to remember is how you value communication might make your personality. If you're an extrovert, you're gonna love to do face-to-face, phone, video conferencing, and things of that nature. But an introvert might be too nervous to have a full face-to-face interpersonal communication session. And in that sense, it's okay to follow up with an email or a text or a phone call and say, listen, I didn't understand exactly what you wanted me to do. Am I fired? Do I have a new project? Did I do something wrong? So go ahead and send that email. If you had asked me how to do this maybe 6 months ago, I wouldn't have told you that. I would have told you, oh, that person messed up, he's done. End of story. So now let's move on to internal organizational communication with a quick example. Meet my friend Saki. Saki's on a team at work and they're working on a special project. Now everybody's thinking it's going well and they actually just had a group meeting today. Their boss seemed a little distracted, but he didn't say anything at the end, so everybody thought their work was fine. They actually felt good about it and they thought they were on the right track. Let's see what Saki's saying today.
Hello. I just got back from my group meeting and I think I did a really good job. Oh, I just got a text message from the team leader. Well, I better go read it.
Guys, today's work went really bad? You didn't get focused quickly and all the ideas were bad? I'm pretty disappointed and you all need to do better? What?
Are you serious? We worked that hard and he's not even trying and he's gonna judge us like that? I don't even want to be in this stupid group anymore and I definitely don't respect him.
Okay, so let's pause for a second and break down what just happened. Saki and his team thought they were doing a good job, but that didn't seem to be the case, did it? Saki was very upset by the way his leader reached out to him and the rest of the group. First of all, he chose a bad medium with text messages, and his message was lost in the way he presented it. Using abbreviations and poor judging language like that is just going to upset and demean your whole team. So while his boss may have had a good message at heart, when he encoded it, it was completely lost in the decoding by the rest of the team. Saki was hurt, and it hurt the trust of the group overall. It was a really bad way to both follow up a meeting and practice internal organizational communication. Wow, that kind of reminds me of a personal story. When I was in high school, I was on a team to build a boat in a competition, and the winner got a pretty big cash prize, and somehow I ended up being the leader of that team. And as 18-year-old me, I led by saying, you do this, you do that, and I'll supervise. And I sort of sat back and didn't contribute at all. And towards the end of the competition, my team actually asked me to leave the group. And after a bit of begging, they let me stay on, but I wasn't the leader anymore, and we weren't that successful. Had I known what I know now from this class, I would have been successful. I wouldn't have led the way I did, and I probably would have won that cash prize. But back then, I just brushed it off as bad teammates. And the moral of both these stories is what I took away as the biggest part of 302, and that's learning how to communicate effectively within a group in your organization. Now, I don't just mean as the leader, I mean as someone being led as well. And the main thing you need to realize is that everybody's gonna have association and disassociation. Association is the emotional bond between someone and their idea. They love it and they want it to be perfect and accepted. But sometimes you need to criticize it, and that's where disassociation comes in. That's the ability for someone to distance themselves from an idea and allow that constructive criticism to change it, warp it, or get a new idea completely without hurting their feelings and ruining the trust and relationship of the group. And that's a whole big part of your emotional awareness. You can't let your emotions get the best of you in a group, but you also need to consider the emotions of other people because nobody's perfect and everybody's gonna get upset sometimes. And a good leader understands this. A good leader knows that he is not the leader of the team, he's the leader on the team. He's part of the team, he needs to share the responsibility and equally receive credit or punishment for the work that's done. They can't do nothing, they need to participate, and they need to be active and leading the group. This was the biggest thing I learned from internal organizational communication. I sat back and delegated what everyone does. And Saki's boss, we don't know what he did, but he sat back at the end and said, you all messed up. You need to say, we need to get better. And the best way to do that is by setting an agenda before you start each team meeting. You need to say, we're starting, we want to get these goals done, and at the end, recap with what you did, say what went well, what didn't go well, and what still needs to be done. You need to do this face to face because that's the richest form of communication. If you do it in a text after, like Saki's boss did, it's gonna be taken the wrong way and it's gonna be demeaning. But if you say it face to face, everybody is going to say, okay, I see what we did wrong. We're still in the mindset that we're in this group. Nothing is distracting us. Let's get back to work next time we meet and do better. Lastly, I want to talk about BP. Yeah, those guys with the giant oil spill back in 2010. And this is because it's basically the worst way to handle our last topic, external organizational communication. After their spill, their chairman, by use of a bad translator, basically insulted the entire American population. And then their CEO tried to deny and downplay the damage they did, which ultimately ruined their public standing. Listen, whether you're a celebrity, a political figure, an athlete, or a major corporation, you're gonna have to address the public at some time. But if you follow these keys, you're gonna be just fine. First, learn your audience. Know who you're talking to. If that CEO had been talking to OPEC or oil investors, that message would have been just fine. But he wasn't. He was addressing everyone he'd already heard. Second, learn to communicate across cultures. That chairman would have been just fine if he didn't make that one simple mistake and insult all of America. Also, you're gonna wanna have everyone on the same page. Don't let two different people give two different messages at the same time, because it's gonna look very confusing. Also, avoid any uncertainty. If you don't know the answer to a question, don't try to answer that question. And lastly, just learn how to give the bad news well. If there is bad news, and it's bad, there's no use in trying to say it didn't happen. Just tell it like it is, but tell it well. The public doesn't need to know what's being said within your corporation, as long as they like what's coming out of it. Now, I didn't know the first thing about external organizational communication before I took this class. And I was honestly afraid to address the public. But now that I have, I feel like I would do just fine, and I know I will in the future. I just have to follow these key factors to doing it, and nothing's gonna be a problem for me. Everything I'll need, I learned in this class. And if you communicate your crisis management well and maintain your reputation, the public is not going to crucify you. Now I could go on about the benefits of this class for hours, but this video is coming to a close. And all I can say is that everything I learned, I'm going to take with me to future classes, job interviews, jobs, relationships, and any time I need to communicate past that. It's that important. It was amazing to see that whether we were presenting in the ELC, working on a group project, working in groups in class, or doing some sort of exercise, I was using the communication techniques that had been taught to me to communicate with my other peers about how to communicate with peers. I'd never seen such a deep application of curriculum like that before. And I'll admit, it does seem a little bit boring at first. Okay, you're a Marshall student. You probably know how to communicate well, or else you wouldn't be where you are right now. And it might seem a little basic too. You're gonna learn not to break up with your girlfriend of 5 years over text, and you probably knew that. But listen to me. If you listen to everything you're taught, explore all the content to its deepest meaning and its core value, and try to apply it as much as you can in real life, you're going to love the class. And if it's available, take it with Dan Oliverio. Thank you.